Hello, and welcome to the Gamers Channel Underground. I am your Dungeon Master for the evening. My name is Trent Gander. I am joined by my lovely hostess, Cheyenne, and the ever-lovable Lee the Tech Priest. We'll be discussing a cornucopia of things today because tomorrow, here in the States, is Thanksgiving, and we will probably die of either food intake or liquor intake. Tonight, Kieran will be unable to join us because of his stuff, and we'll be talking about Battlefield, touching on Rainbow Six, a little touching on the Warthunder update that's going to be coming in 2017, and we're going to discuss why movies suck when they're based off of books. Why does this happen? I do not know. We'll explore it later. Touching on Warthunder, watching some videos and reading some of the releases from the official Warthunder site. Warthunder's naval battles will not, until player feedback is put in the open beta coming in 2017, will not feature large ship warfare. It'll be mainly small, light boats and things like PT boats. Any comments on this? You think this is good? Think this is bad?
Scale-wise, that actually makes a lot of sense. Simply because the minute you start throwing larger ships into play, congratulations, I'm 300 miles away and I just wrecked your entire opposing team. Game over, guys. GG. Balancing stuff like that does get really hard while maintaining a semblance of realism. True.
They already had kind of a problem with that with artillery strikes in the tank realms. You could technically drop within your area of view, drop an artillery strike with varying degrees of accuracy anywhere within it. It could be very handy. But it's interesting now that they've added the Burning Arrows update, which has included radio-controlled rockets on it, so you can technically shoot around corners. I haven't been able to play. My PC still doesn't like the game, and I'm very sad because I spent about 5 hours last week downloading it, and that was a pain in my butt. So other than that, I would believe that it's time to move on to Rainbow Six Siege. The latest operators have been dropped. Their names are Echo and Hibana. If you have not seen them on live streams yet, you live under a much more heavy rock than I do, and you need to have them explained to you. One appears to have a mildly mobile drone that flies up into the air. This is Echo. And the other, Hibana, is equipped with a 6-round grenade launcher that breaches walls. So you no longer have to get thermite up to lay a large pancake of hate on the side. You can now do it from a distance, which is always handy. Other than that, they seem like pretty much all the other classes. And with that, we'll move on to, I'll hand it over to Lee because Battlefield 1 news and interesting things. His addiction.
Yes, addiction is apt. So we saw the hardcore mode for Battlefield 1 drop earlier this week. It is absolutely a huge change of pace for the Battlefield 1 franchise, as everything is about 600% more deadly. I logged about 6 hours a couple nights ago. And yeah, absolutely phenomenal. For a hardcore player who's coming from Battlefield 4, it was an absolute blast. It makes the assault class a lot more playable on large maps, as their submachine guns and shotguns can reach out and touch somebody from a distance. It makes tanks that much more overpowered in regards to direct action. Oh, hey, there's a bunch of guys in a building, kill them. However, the team kill from tanks was ridiculous, and in a lot of ways balances out the tank in as compared to standard core. I think they're going to probably end up needing to do a little bit of tweaking to get the recipe just right in regards to tank damage, artillery damage. But as it is, I really, really did enjoy playing it. And I'm excited to see what else they do to, as the updates and DLCs roll out.
That's always very interesting. I've always watching the gameplay. It seems like what they tend to do is what I expect is that since most of the actual rifles are very slow firing, most people transition to pistol and seem to rely on that more than anything. How was this affected with the new DLC?
Honestly, for the most part, we saw a lot of the guns that were previously used because they do a lot of damage. The Martini Henry rifle in the Scout class, a couple of the medic guns no longer necessarily be the best option. Because, oh, hey, they do a lot of damage, but there's a lot of recoil and things of that nature. Now, I don't need that super high damage threshold to get one-shot kills. So it's balancing out very nicely, and there was going to be a change in gameplay style from core to hardcore, and I think we're starting to see some of the meta game for Battlefield 1 hardcore in regards to best guns, best settings start to show up.
For those of us who don't know exactly what that entails, would you mind explaining it for us?
The meta game is the game outside of the game. It's the knowledge that makes people very efficient that isn't necessarily given to you inside the game. It is knowing what spots of the map do best. It is knowing what guns do what, and what number of rounds on burst you need to shoot, stuff like that.
So getting more to a point of where you're technically playing the players instead of actually just playing the game.
Exactly. On the competitive side is where the term kind of came up, because you start to not just play objectives, but, oh, hey, I know for this objective I need to go, to this spot under these stairs because I've got a really good chance of catching people from this angle.
There was a few videos that were shared on, I believe it was Gameology. They had one guy, he got 10 kills in 5 seconds using dynamite because people had begun to crowd in a doorway in a bunker. He just tossed a few in there, and he was totally surprised by it, which was very amusing. Other than me wanting to play all these games again and get a system that can actually run them, I think we can move on to having our not-so-resident movie expert join in on the conversation. I was watching I think it was a year ago, maybe 6 months or more, a movie called Dungeons & Dragons, The Book of Vile Darkness. Not only was it late when I was watching this, so that I had to go to bed, but it was so terrible. The dialogue was so corny. I could not get through it. And we always hear of the fandoms that the book is always so much better than the movie. A good example for this is Wizard of Oz versus Wizard of Oz the book. I greatly enjoyed Wizard of Oz the book more than I did the movie because I've never actually seen it all the way through, and I've always found it cringe-worthy. I'm going to turn it over to Cheyenne, her opinion on why this occurs.
I think part of it has to do with the imagination, the emotional pull you feel when you read the book, and you get so used to seeing the characters in your mind's eye that you're kind of infuriated when you see it on the big screen. And then sometimes, yeah, they really do just jack it up. But I know last time we were on the podcast, we talked about how they messed up the comics from Marvel and incorporated, like, didn't even use the right characters and right storyline for the big screen, which is fine in some cases if it makes the story more original. But for the most part, I think you lose your characters and your plot line when it's just being cranked out to make money for the company. So I think that's what happens 99% of the time.
Going after the profit margin rather than actually giving a good story that will give you the profit margin.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, some of it does have to do with you get emotionally attached to the character and you expect it to be a certain way, and then it's not that way, and that's kind of your own expectations. And yeah. So, but I think for the most part, it's a profit margin issue.
Well, that was obviously done in the Lord of the Rings series. One of the,
Yeah.
I really love that series. I have not seen all the new ones, but I can understand the first 3 movies because there are 3 books, but they took The Hobbit and they made it 3 movies. There was not enough anything in The Hobbit to warrant 3 movies.
Yeah. I don't know. For that one, I haven't read the books, so I feel like I can't talk about it. Don't look at me like that.
I will.
Why is she here again, Trent? Why would you do this to us?
I would do this to us.
Expert. Okay, not book expert. There's a difference.
True. That, and she's good eye candy.
Touche. Know the market. As someone who read The Hobbit, the fact that they pulled from the Silmarillion and other Tolkien works for the movie, I'm kind of okay with them stretching The Hobbit out to 3 books.
Well, I haven't read the Silmarillion, so
they pulled basically everything that wasn't in The Hobbit the book was pulled from other Tolkien works. I'm a little mad that they stretched it into 3 movies and they messed up certain scenes. The entire inclusion of Legolas, but continuity and all that fun stuff. I get why they would do it. The other thing that I think a lot of book people, for lack of a better way to put it, don't understand is the medium context. You are limited in what you can do in a movie. You have maybe 2 hours, 2.5 if you really want to push it, to get everything within, X to Y time frame, context, onto the screen. So there's obviously limitations there.
I realize that not every budget is worth trillions and trillions of dollars, because that's what you need to get even a decent space battle for some of the extended universe in Star Wars to be level at which someone's imagination could bring it. The processing power they'd have to have would be unbelievable and would be too expensive for anyone to undertake without the entire world's economy behind it fueling it. I understand that part, but I enjoy movie adaptations. They are entertaining. And I know that's like our major thing of watching movies is to be entertained. But I sometimes find it really sad that when people then start to mock the movie, the mockery somehow becomes better than the actual movie or show you started out with.
Talking like parodies?
One of the best ones that I have ever encountered is the Hellsing Abridged parody, because that's just awesome.
I've yet to see that one.
It's anime. You probably wouldn't like it.
Yeah, that's nerd TV shows. I don't do nerd shows.
And yet you watch Marvel movies.
Oh, shut up, Trent. There's a huge fan base for that, just so we're clear.
Lee, can you add any points as to the anime genre's size?
About 300 million people larger than it needs to be, but I can't get clearance to run another Enola Gay.
Oh, insert all the terrible jokes.
Yeah, hashtag Rice Krispies and hashtag make 1942 great again. No, horrible jokes aside, I'm not a fan of anime. And the larger context of rebranding anime as, suitable for American children, i.e.,
I hate that.
Pokemon, Digimon, Monster Rancher. I don't know what cruel and unusual asshole thought that up, but yeah, there's definitely some issues there.
All right, two things. One, I used to get up early in the morning when I was still in school to watch Digimon just because I thought it was interesting. Second, I encountered people thinking that Naruto was a children's show. I'm thinking, in the first episode, Naruto transforms himself into a nude woman in class. Yes, they censored it, but how is that a kid's show?
Well, it is a cartoon. I mean...
It is a cartoon.
And so is tentacle porn. That doesn't make it suitable for children.
Exactly. And...
I've spent time in Japan. That's why that's why I'm against it. I was not against, the rebranding of Japanese shit for American children until I went to Japan and did the, oh, wow, y'all are
weird.
Yeah.
And that's being generous.
I've got stories, but those definitely do not belong on the internet's steely grasp.
Yeah, I will say I enjoy One Punch Man and I enjoy the Hellsing series. But those are at least branded as not being child-friendly. All the ones I find here are rated 14 or higher. It's like, yes, I can see why. Blood, gore, all sorts of fun things. But it's not like I'm going to sit a 6-year-old child down and say, hey, watch this as your Saturday morning cartoons.
I mean, you always can if you just want to really set them up for success in life.
Oh, yeah, they'd be... I'm sure Cheyenne would probably be able to attest that, given my personality, my children would probably be the most vicious kids on this planet.
I worry for his future children and his wife.
Well, considering they're going to come out of the womb with a beard, that would hurt.
The beard is a weapon.
Yeah, rug burn on his wife during labor is not exactly a appeasing subject.
Yeah.
No.
Unfortunately, Cheyenne's now imagining that. Like,
I have an overactive imagination.
Anyway, what movies or shows have been based off of your favorite medium that you thought totally screwed up on the delivery?
I have to think now. I'm such a movie guru that they could almost do anything, transferring it to the screen, and I'd be like, oh, it was still beautiful and lovely. It was great.
That's not a guru. That's a fangirl.
Whatever. Fangirl, guru. All the same thing. Trying to think. It's going to take me a second, actually, because I don't watch a lot of movie-based... I don't know. The Captain America 2 and 3 both irritated me. Just because I felt like the storyline was really weak and it could have been a lot better. Star Wars 7 bothered me, and I don't know exactly which one that was based off of.
That was based off of the entire extended universe that was then compressed, taken apart, rebranded and then regurgitated onto the screen. But you're among similar opinions, at least, that
Good.
The Force Awakens, while being a visually pleasing and entertaining movie, sucked as a storyline, because there kind of wasn't one. I've mentioned it time and time again that The Force Awakens was 4 major scenes loosely strung together poorly.
Yeah.
And I will still say that Lee's description of General Hux is my favorite of all time.
Can I hear it? Can I hear the description?
You want to give?
I was gonna say, do you want to give the abridged version? Because I don't even remember the tirade that I went on.
All right, you can start a new tirade after this, but the part that I liked the most was he believed Hux. He was the kind of guy that he wouldn't let Hux go into a broom closet by himself unsupervised.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
I've had, like a better term, co-workers on the one that Cheyenne was supposed to throw down with several episodes ago, but believe that Hux's speech at the time of when they fire up the giant Death Star machine, or whatever it's called, that it was the most inspiring speech she had ever heard. I found it annoying and contained exactly too much spittle.
It's been a while. I'd have to hear it again. But I don't know. That whole movie was just not a fan. Just not.
The fact that, you know, a year later, only a year, and I can't remember what was said. I can only remember a handful of like very specific scenes from the movie. That's, you know, kind of a mark against it. The fact that I can quote a lot of movies and remember scenes line by line for a lot of my favorite things, and I can marginally remember, you know, a handful of scenes, like when Han Solo busts in because he's Han Solo and he's got a giant walking dog behind him. You know, but besides that, all in all, I'm definitely going to go see Rogue One, you know, day one. And if I walk out crying, it's going to be just firebombs at Disney because it's the only recourse.
Well, I think people are excited, and I'm going to have to say that I am excited as well, that Rogue One is supposed to have a much darker tone to it than previous Star Wars movies. With specific mentions of decapitations, which are just fantastic. Anyway, seeing a lot of the posters that have come out and sharing a lot of the posters that have come out for Rogue One as my alias. Yeah, I really hope Rogue One does really well. I do find it a bit odd that Rogue One is going to be ending 5 minutes before A New Hope. I found that a bit odd that they decided that time window for it to end. You were going to say something, Cheyenne? Yes. And I'm not going to drag it out of you because you have an opinion. I don't want it to just be me talking here. Or is it, unless Lee has something? He's going to leave you to your fate.
Okay. I don't really have a super huge opinion on that. I didn't know what, like, I like Star Wars, but again, I'm definitely a movie only, and I've not just like the new ones. I've seen like the ones with Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher. So I didn't know a whole lot about the extended universe, and I don't know. So when I had found out that Rogue One was ending, like, you know, right before New Hope, or it was that little slice of story right before that, I was like, that's really kind of odd that they're, I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but if they're characters that they're just going to use once and then throw away, I don't really see the point of making an entire movie to base around this little group of characters, and then they're going to move on with Kylo Ren and what's her name? That's how much I did not like that movie. What is her name?
Ray.
Ray!
It's quite literally 3 letters.
I'm sorry. Okay, you memorized like Princess Leia of Alderaan and Queen Amidala.
Wait, that was her full name? I thought it was just Slave Leia.
Wow. Wow. No comment. None.
The only reason why I probably have to remember all of it is because my other side projects have me having to look for fan art of all these people. The only one who I did not like was Finn. Finn was a very weak character in my opinion, but I did want to see more of the bromance between him and Poe Dameron. I really hope they don't screw that up.
By screw that up, you mean screw.
Exactly.
The only way it could get more homoerotic is, I don't know, if a 14-year-old / fanfic writer took over the script. Cheyenne, you look like you had something you wanted to say there. Is something you want to contribute to the group?
I was just going to say, I'm like this close to saying that they're actually going to do that with those 2 characters. I would not be shocked at all.
Neither would I. And well, I'm sure that the demographic today would open, or at least a small demographic today, would openly throw their arms out and embrace this. I think it would destroy the chemistry between the 2 characters because I think it would be more forced than anything. Because obviously, the actor Bodega, I believe it was, who plays Finn, has his eye on Rey, both in the movie and in most likely real life. So either it's going to be some really weird love triangle that would just kind of mess with the movies a bit too much.
I feel like, if this was keeping up with the Kardashians, that would be appropriate. But it's Star Wars. When Disney takes something over, they make it so like just down like violence wise. It's so like friendly and like it has that Disney vibe. And then if you throw that in there, it's Star Wars. Ain't nobody got time for that. That's just awkward. It's not part of like the appeal of Star Wars. I don't see why they would add it. There's really no reason for it.
Guys, there's really only one solution here. We get Finn in the Slave Leia costume. That'll make it okay.
Yeah, I would find it totally hilarious. But here's the problem. They want, after some some really terrible events that happened in the States, they made a petition to have Poe and Finn be gay. And they wanted them to be the first openly gay characters in Star Wars. And that place has already been taken in the extended universe. Despite the fact that, my personal opinions, one of my favorite characters in the extended universe was one of the first openly gay characters, and he just happened to be a Mandalorian. And they somehow didn't make it weird at all. It was just like a part of his character. It wasn't forced. It wasn't heavily emphasized. It was, oh, there's this guy, and he's married to another guy in this weird warrior culture. Okay, I can deal with that.
That is, again, if that's part of the story, that's fine. But even Anakin and Padme, their whole thing was, I know a lot of guys probably felt like it was too much, but as a girl watching Star Wars, it didn't feel like a love story. And that was the biggest romance they had. And so just Star Wars in general, the romance is very slim and little. So
I'll put it to you this way. My opinion of Anakin Skywalker is that he's whiny, and Darth Vader is a much better character. They're actually 2 entirely different things. But there is an interesting thing. You mentioned that they tend to tone down the violence. In the original Clone Wars series, I have not watched all of it. I should. But even in Star Wars The Clone Wars, which they apparently ended unsatisfactorily, they had a decent amount of gut-wrenching violence. It wasn't like in Star Wars Rebels. One of the reasons why I started watching was like, oh, this is going to be like Star Wars The Clone Wars. And it was entirely not like Star Wars The Clone Wars. Like the first 6 episodes of Star Wars The Clone Wars, 10 to 12 people that you actually kind of gave a crap about died. Horribly. And surprisingly, in most of the episodes. And then we have, pretty much a kid living in slums shooting Nerf guns that just happen to zap people at the stormtroopers who are occupying his planet. That's not really Star Wars, but hey, we throw a Jedi in there and it's all good. Nothing? What? Am I insane? I'm always insane, but...
I haven't seen that, so I can't have a comment, but I agree with you on the theory.
Really? Okay. Either way, I both love and hate the Clone Wars, mainly because they got me into the clones. I love that. I love the little nuances they all put into it. But what was going on in the Clone Wars ended the Republic Commando series of books because of conflicts in the timeline. And that series was legitimately fantastic and had a real romance in it and real heart-wrenching emotion, so much that I cried while reading the book. And I want that deep connection to be in a Star Wars movie, because that's great writing. We have all shared things like, yeah, we barely remember The Force Awakens. I know people like watch it 7 to 8 times. You probably would have to watch it that many times in order to actually remember what the story was about. That's not good writing. We need good writing to save the Star Wars franchise and not just have fantastic amounts of explosions. Is that too much to ask? I want a story that drives itself, not through the force of explosions, but because I actually want to watch the things despite the explosions, and the explosions actually fit in the story and aren't needlessly thrown on like cilantro on the top of a salad. I don't need cilantro on my salad.
Well, with a lot of the movies nowadays, they don't have story.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Cilantro goes on everything. Shut your heathen mouth. I will upside down face wash you until you repent. Is it in
a dressing? Because then I could go for some nice oil dressing with some cilantro in it.
What part of everything? It's like garlic. There's never enough of it, and
garlic and onions and cilantro.
No, onions. I'm good. But as we're devolving into food, apparently.
How about onion rings?
Well, yeah, because they're fried, and everything fried is good.
All right, continue.
Yeah, as we've reached a new low for our discussion, a lot of it is the time formatting. Honestly, anymore for anything that is an extended universe, anything that is trying to tell a larger tale, I really do like television shows or direct for Netflix type deals, because I just think it works better. You're not constricted to a 2.5 hour segment every 3 to 4 years. Oh, hey guys, we'll continue the story in 2019. And it allows a lot better progression and storytelling. Obviously, that's kind of a new addition to format options, and I'm excited to see what's done with it.
Well, there's actually a movement going on for the Old Republic series on Netflix for Star Wars. There's a petition going up. I think they're up to about 115,000. They're trying to reach 120,000 like before the end of the year, and they want to go to about 500,000 before it actually handing it over to Disney or whoever it's going to be in order for it to actually have some weight compared to, oh, you got 120,000 signatures. That's a lot. But it's a lot. But it's not enough for it to convince Disney enough that there's a large enough fan base that they need to have a series on Netflix about the Old Republic. I can think of Supernatural. They have good writing. I believe they have good writing skills. I enjoy the series. I have gotten out of it, but for the 13 seasons that it's been on, it's been very entertaining. And I can't imagine another fandom that's so important to so many different things, because it actually involves its fans in the story. I know Cheyenne's working her way through the series, but it's very meta. It breaks the fourth wall a lot of the time. It's very, very nice.
I'm still in season 2.
It gets better. I find it gets a little less scary, but it gets funnier. It totally is funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see where it goes, but I've heard some views that do not speak highly of it, and so now I'm kind of approaching with caution, I guess, because it's been a while since I've watched it. I took a break, but yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, the number of tropes that they put into it kind of detract just a little bit of it, but overall it's a good series. I'm going to guess Lee hasn't watched Supernatural, since it's probably not up his alley.
Honestly, at this point, I cannot afford to spend a week on the couch watching just that. Let me get broken again and spend a week on painkillers on the couch, and maybe I'll consider it. But no, not really up my alley. Especially because it was a network television show, so the requirements for that just really aren't my cup of tea.
That's true. Either way, if anyone's watching this at any point in time, try out Supernatural. I find it hilarious at some points, especially when they literally poke fun at their own show and their fan base. It gets gnarly out there. What else is on our docket? Have we reached a point where we've run out of everything to say? Should we discuss the proper snacks to have in a D&D session? Because that's always weirded me out, because I always thought it was Mountain Dew and Doritos. But then someone else mentions Cheeto and Pepsi. Is there like some sort of codification between the areas where you live that dictates it, or is there like an official code?
What? Why is the insinuation that just because I'm gonna spend, an evening or 7 or potentially my prom night playing D&D that I have to eat like shit? Like, I am perfectly capable of eating quality food while slaying make-believe monsters with my friends, damn it. And Cheyenne, do you have a comment about the whole prom night thing?
It did raise my curiosity. I am not gonna lie. I think that's a story that needs to be told tonight.
Oh, why? Thank you. Can I have a double shot? The Fireball and Angry Orchard that we were talking about earlier.
If you want to tell it afterwards, that's totally fine, because I'm intrigued as hell.
I'll do it on air. I'll show some solidarity for my nerd brothers. The hypothetical discussion in the weeks leading up to this was, I don't like most of the people who were going to prom to begin with. Who would have thought? I don't really want to spend the money to, get dressed up and do everything. So I was single at the time. Oh yeah, let's just play D&D. And what started as a joke, a recurring theme in my life, a joke that went awry, um, turned into us for about 4 days straight just playing D&D at a friend's house. Honestly, I think I won out there.
Not gonna lie, that sounds like a lot of fun, and I really should get in on this RPG stuff, which we had discussed previously but never followed through on. But
yeah, probably after the holidays, and honestly, that would maybe be a fun one to do a live stream of. Well, to do a video series on.
it probably would be, especially since most of people here, mainly everyone other than Lee, hasn't played a tabletop RPG to any extent. Except for me, I've played HeroEscape, but that's not an RPG. It's a tabletop battle game, and you don't really need a character sheet for that.
I was going to say, if we get Cheyenne to play, I think she needs to play the quintessential female first-time playing character. She's going to be our cleric, and she's going to do nothing but run around and heal whoever she's, most emotionally attached with playing.
That is so just.
I think we're all going to die.
Yeah, you don't understand. I've been playing for like 10 years, and every time some guy says, "Oh, hey, I'm going to bring my girlfriend to play with us," that's how it ends. I'm just getting us ahead of the power curve.
I am not sorry at all that we poke so much fun at you, Cheyenne, on these shows. That's so entertaining. At least
I'm
for
glad
me.
someone derives joy from my pain.
Anyway, well, I guess we find out that all RPGs are either sadists or what's the other one? Masochists. There we go. But that reminds me of another one. I like the Sherlock Holmes series with Robert Downey Jr. That was a movie.
More than with Benedict Cumberbatch?
I like the movie. Really carefully if I ever want me to come back on.
I said I enjoyed it. Not that they were the best thing ever. I still love the books more than most of everything. Anyway, that was just like we were talking about movies that were done poorly because of what they're based on a book, and for some reason Sherlock Holmes jumped in on this conversation.
That is ultimately one of those adaptations that, as we talk about the limitations of a movie, the Robert Downey Jr. and while I do not like their take on Sherlock, I will say that it was a really good movie. As you have the Sherlock TV show on BBC, you have so much more room to create and maintain this universe.
Similar with the American show Elementary. I've actually watching the Robert Downey Jr. ones in the previous like older 50s or earlier Sherlock Holmes shows. They kind of meant in the Robert Downey Jr. ones, they don't mention his addiction at all, and they mention it kind of in passing in the early ones. I found it quite interesting that in Elementary, Sherlock Holmes's self-abusive habits, for lack of a better term, take more of a central part of his character because that's what they were in the book. He's a recovering addict in this one, and in the books, he's not really recovering at all.
I thought Elementary was the one with Lucy Liu. Is that not that one? It is that one.
That is that one. Despite the fact that they made Watson a woman, I'll cut it some slack for having an interesting character struggling with addiction, based off of a character that had multiple addictions.
I think to an extent the reason that like the Robert Downey Jr. series did not touch on addiction, as Americans, we try really hard not to push acceptance of drugs or normalization of drugs. So, oh hey, Sherlock Holmes was smoking opium and heroin and all this other fun stuff. we don't want to push that in a character that's in all other ways remarkable and something we should all strive to be. Hyper intelligent and expert in his field. So, oh yeah, let's just go ahead and cut that off because, we don't want to handle that.
That is true. But it adds so much to the character that otherwise Sherlock Holmes would probably be the ideal human being. But Arthur Conan Doyle realized that there kind of can't be, so he wrote in probably enough flaws in him for about 6 people. And it made a fantastic character. Look at it's still going. Yes, flaws make the best human being. Whatever. But they make the best characters. That's why I like anti-heroes so much. Because they're believable. It's not Superman, flawless from beginning to end, and strength for days. We like Batman so much because he's a highly broken individual who has garnered enough skills throughout his... how old is he? Is he like 30? He's garnered enough... Yeah. He's garnered enough physical skills to go toe-to-toe with Superman and actually have a chance of winning. One of the reasons why I like Iron Man over Captain America is because Iron Man uses his intelligence and his rapier wit to build things, and what did Chris Evans' character do? He got shot full of drugs that made him super strong.
Don't even. That was not the point of that whole movie. I hate you right now.
I know.
No.
I know it's about overcoming obstacles and brotherhood and stuff, but it still doesn't change the fact that he had like 16 needles shoved into his chest to roid him out so he could fight the war.
Overcoming obstacles, not through hard work, not through perseverance, through the easy way out, drugs. Remember, kids, if you want to be an all-star athlete, drugs are the solution.
Okay. Yeah. But then we still have characters that everyone seems to love in all their incarnations, which is the Joker, who is also a highly broken individual. I haven't seen the new one, but the creepy yet calculative menace of the Joker in... Oh, what was it? Heath Ledger's Joker rendition, I still hold as the standard for the Joker other than Mark Hamill. Those two are like the quintessential Jokers for me. They played the role so memorably that we still talk about them today. And then all the weird theories about him in the weird crap he did in the comic books. Anyway, have you seen the Suicide Squad, Cheyenne? I've heard bad reviews.
I have. And again, that movie really frustrates me because they had such a recipe for, and I'm not a DC person at all, but I saw, the trailer, I did some research, I found out what it was about, and I was like, okay, so it's like the bad version of Avengers. I can get behind this. This could be a good thing. And that movie had so much potential, but the way they did it was, again, just like it was a moneymaker. They didn't involve the characters enough. The pace was too fast. The villain was weak. I was very upset with the villain. I'm not even sure why they did that. That movie had a lot of potential, and it was not very good. As far as Jared Leto, I don't know how you say his last name. His Joker, I think he's a really good actor. I've seen him in some other stuff. His Joker wasn't bad. It was just a much different feel than Heath Ledger's, which I think everybody pretty much agrees Heath Ledger is like the best Joker of all time. So, I mean, on that, it was interesting to see a different side of it, but it was very, I don't know, the way he played it was very like sensual, I would say almost, and it was different. It wasn't really bad, but it was different.
For some reason, I thought you were going to say Jared Leto was a very good actress for the Joker.
No,
But that
that
would
was
be,
not.
I wonder how that would.
I mean, androgynous Joker isn't out of the question. We can always just get David Bowie, well, David Bowie's corpse, whatever he's got left, to play it.
Weekend at Joker's.
I'm wondering how a female Joker would play out. Would it be considered an awesome achievement, or would they just be saying they're just put Harley Quinn in Joker's place and totally messed up the character? I'm interested in seeing if anyone will ever try that.
I was going to say this is DC we're talking about, so somewhere there's 37 comics devoted to it that 8 whole people have read.
That this is true, and then there's all the Marvel DC universes meshing that I think was the 90s. Didn't they do that? They have so many crossovers and so many combination DC versus Marvel things that there has to be a variation of every possible matter in between DC and Marvel. There has to be. Other than that, leaving us on a cliffhanger of how many comic books we actually read in a year, I'm going to cut the broadcast because we've run out of things to talk about. And it's Turkey Day tomorrow, and I want to rest up enough to fall asleep from an overabundance of food. So with that, we'll catch you next week, and hopefully we'll have Karen back. I don't know. Meh. So, bye.